Coming up.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so hot.
It was a competent read.
Damned by faint praise. Competent.
Oh, you're so competent.
This is what they want.
How do you say that?
I'm just taking out my headphones for one moment.
You probably turned down some money there.
I definitely did.
I'll just say the words.
Alone, usually in the dark.
There's a line not to take out of context.
Dark magic.
Dark magic.
Dark magic.
The game was centred around Jack the Ripper.
I know quite a few ripperologists, actually.
Is it important or not that we know what a barker is?
It's my old man.
Oh, yes, you could definitely play it like that.
And now, enjoy the podcast.
How do you say that?
How do you say that?
How do you say that?
How do you say that? Well, hello. Welcome along to How Do You Say That, sponsored by BritishVoiceover.co.uk. Can I introduce my co-host over there, Samantha Boffin? Hello, Samantha.
Yes, hello. And of course, this is my co-host, Mark Rice.
Hello. Every week we chat about scripts and voice acting with a different guest and hopefully discover how to get better at what we all do.
It is a voyage of discovery. Every week it is. So this is the practical podcast for voiceovers and everyone who works with voiceovers. It's very practical.
Sam, let's play true or false.
Yes.
You know my addiction to coffee shops.
do
Here's
I
my
ever.
true or false. I started drinking coffee when I was 6 years old. True or false?
God, I started drinking coffee when you were 6. I can imagine, actually. I can imagine 6-year-old Mark. I can imagine 6-year-old Mark quite liked a little cup of coffee with a lot of milk in it.
Okay.
I think you did.
It's actually false. I started when I was 3 years old.
3?
I wouldn't drink milk, so my mum put coffee in it, and then it was
Wow.
fine. Isn't that funny?
You do love a coffee, don't
I
you?
do, absolutely.
Wowzers. Okay, right. And Mark, my true or false is I am an avid knitter. Is that
like
true
Tom
or false?
Daly?
Mm.
See, all of my being is saying it's got to be true, but my heart is telling me false. So I'm going to go false.
Yeah, it is false. I'm not an avid knitter. My sister is an avid knitter and she actually sells wool. That's
I
she's a
see.
haberdasher. But I do not, and I am a rubbish knitter. I am not avid. I wish I were, but I am not. I'm not
Me too, I'm rubbish as well. Well, let's welcome along our special voiceover guest. It's Danny Watts. Hello, Danny.
Hello. Hello, Mark. Hello, Samantha.
You feeling good?
Yeah, not too bad, actually.
Excellent.
Not too bad
Let's
at
do
all.
this. Let's find out a bit more about Danny, shall we, Sam?
Yes, so Danny has been a voice actor since 2012 and he works across all genres from commercials to films and video games and IVR. He claims, and it is a claim, that he was too shy at college to do drama and then opted for music instead. So he then became a singer. I think that's got more balls to it to become a singer and love the limelight when standing behind a mic.
Well, in his spare time, Danny writes, performs, produces and distributes his own music under the pseudonym Downtown Patriots, a fictitious band consisting of one member, him.
That's me.
In 2019, just before lockdown, he somehow managed to volunteer himself to organise a London VO social event, and he's been doing that ever since. Well, we'll talk about that later, Danny, but for now, have you got a true or false for us?
Yes, I do. How about this? My first VO job was for a gay sex chat line.
Oh,
I did a bit of that back in the day, so I know that those jobs were around, like an 0898 type number.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes. You've got a very mellifluous voice, so I think that might work.
gay chat line or sex chat line?
I think it was a gay sex chat line. Yeah.
Oh, go! All the bells and whistles.
Oh, yeah.
Then I would say, what a great first job. I'm going to go true as well. Was it?
Well, it's a bit of a trick question. It was my first job offer, but I refused the job.
You refused it?
I did. And do you know why?
Wow.
The only reason I refused it was because at the time I thought, well, I can see my future. I'm going to be an amazing rock star. And I don't want this to come back and haunt me.
Yep.
Yes.
And
yeah,
know,
very wise, actually.
the future wasn't as kind as I expected it, and I predicted wrong. So I kind of wish that I'd taken the job now. I think that would have been quite fun.
Would have been fun.
And on that cheeky telephony note, let's have a look at the first script of our show and ask, how do you say that?
How do you say that?
So this is a little script that I worked on recently. It's an explainer, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
An electronics company, something like that?
They make, I've done a lot for them, actually, and they make lights for theatres and films.
Okay. Right.
Films and theatres.
And who's the audience for this? Is it customers or is it
No.
the industry?
Well, whilst it is customers, they're very technically adept customers. So
Okay.
they are customers who have bought this. That's why I've done so many for them, actually, because they've got lots and lots of films on their intranet for the customers, so that they've got
Sure.
kind of small films to go to find out how to use this particular bit of kit.
So you're not explaining it to people like they've never come across an LED before?
No. Absolutely
you.
not.
Okay.
And I had to be very kind of chatty because of it.
Yes.
Actually.
Okay,
Yeah. So it's
interesting.
got quite a light touch.
Is it Tessera LED?
Tessera.
Or Tessera.
Tessera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tessera.
Yes, good question. I forgot about that one. Right, well, I'll have a go. Then Danny, and then Sam can show us what she did. All right, it's fine. Light touch, corporate. Okay, people don't know what they're talking about. To modulate their brightness, LEDs are typically pulsed on and off at regular intervals. This approach is called pulse width modulation, or PWM for short. When an LED is asked to operate at a much lower brightness, it ends up being off more than it is on, effectively limiting the amount of brightness levels it can create, thus reducing the effective bit depth of the video being displayed. The result is noticeable banding and visual artifacts on the images being shown on screen. To alleviate these issues, we've introduced dark magic on all our Tessera LED processors.
So, out of interest, did you
Yes.
understand the technicalities of that?
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little
yeah.
bit. But I figured you'd said that the audience would understand it.
Yeah. No, they did. I just wondered if you did, because I think there was one point in it where I thought you were going, oh, what? Oh, just say the words.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not so good because I didn't obviously bring the understanding across then. Because that's not where you want the audience to be. It's like, oh, he doesn't understand that. He's just saying it.
It was a competent read. As
Damned by faint praise, Danny. Damned by faint praise.
Very competent.
That's what I'm aiming at. This is what they want.
Give them what they want, love.
I mean,
you're so competent.
it's not the most exciting of scripts, is it?
True,
Let's
true.
be frank about it.
No. Interestingly, I get quite excited about these scripts. They're one of the few explainers that I actually really enjoy doing.
About LEDs in particular, or
Well, I think it's because I used to work in TV. So actually, a lot of these things,
Yep.
I know what they're talking about. So it's really interesting, actually. So I actually do find them quite interesting, but I can understand why perhaps you wouldn't. I included the dark magic in it, thinking that would at least get you a bit excited. But no,
Did
obviously
you
not.
think it was light enough, even though I didn't maybe get all of the meaning across? Was it a light enough style?
You totally got the meaning across, and that was unfair of me. Yeah, I thought it was nice and light, actually. It felt like you were 1-to-1.
I mean, I know a little bit more about LEDs now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
Every day's a school day.
Exactly.
Do you want to go yourself?
Sure.
You're going to be
Yeah.
fucked if he says no.
That's kind of the point of the show. Yeah, that's
Nah,
good.
you're all right.
Okay.
So, not explainer, chatty, light
Yeah,
touch.
chatty explainer.
Okay. To modulate their brightness, LEDs are typically pulsed on and off at regular intervals. This approach is called pulse width modulation, or PWM for short. When an LED is asked to operate at a much lower brightness, it ends up being off more than it is on, effectively limiting the amount of brightness levels it can create, thus reducing the effective bit depth of the video being displayed. The result is noticeable banding and visual artifacts on the images being shown on screen. To alleviate these issues, we have introduced dark magic on all our Tessera LED processors.
I thought that was lovely and light, Sam. It
was
kind
really
of
nice and
finished
light,
with
yeah.
a few kind of upbeats at the end of the sentence, and that interested me. It brought me in more, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And you did what Mark didn't do, interestingly. You, well, no, in that you normally do this, you contracted,
Yes.
I noticed. With this kind of thing, gives a level of, informality to it, which is what I think they were looking for, actually.
I really wanted to play on the dark magic because it felt like it needed to be something.
It does need it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like something
Dark
David Bowie
magic.
would have in.
Yeah, it's kind of, you want to go all Harry Potter on it. It's like,
Exactly,
to alleviate these
yeah.
issues, we have introduced dark magic.
Imagine yourself as Dobby when you're reading it. No.
Yes.
There definitely needs to be a pause after introduce, isn't there? We've introduced
It is.
dark magic.
Indeed. Yeah, lovely and light. I thought it very, very listenable as a corporate, you know.
Absolutely. With a lovely, actually, little bit of gravel in your voice behind it, which I really enjoyed, actually.
It's been a hard day, eh, Danny?
Hard day.
Every day.
Every day's hard. It's like, right, Sam, do you want to show us what you did?
I will, yeah. To modulate their brightness, LEDs are typically pulsed on and off at regular intervals. This approach is called pulse width modulation, or PWM for short. When an LED is asked to operate at a much lower brightness, it ends up being more off than it is on, effectively limiting the amount of brightness levels it can create, thus reducing the effective bit depth of the video being displayed. The result is noticeable banding and visual artifacts on the images being shown on screen. To alleviate these issues, we've introduced dark magic on all our Tessera LED processors.
See, that felt to me like you were throwing away that final line.
Yeah,
A little bit.
Yeah, well,
interesting.
yeah. Well, we only want to lean into dark magic for the Harry Potterness of it.
Yeah, true.
Of this, so this is a much, much bigger script that is all about dark magic.
Ah, that makes sense.
So we've been talking about dark magic prior to this.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of like an echo.
In which case, that makes perfect sense as to why. It was light, much lighter than you normally approach corporates, I think.
Yep.
It was a lovely read. I struggled with that middle sentence because it's very long.
It's long, yes.
And it's where you break that up to make it interesting and have that inflection to bring out what you're trying to say.
But have you noticed, Danny, Sam does what she does with lots of scripts, ignores the commas, just goes for it, puts the breaks in where she wants.
That's why, actually, an explainer that I actually understand is useful for me because I know, sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Because we've often have explainers that we know nothing about and we need to deliver those as well. But once you understand it, you know which words are important, which bits to stress, if you like. And so that gives you a punctuation through it in many ways.
I've tried starting auditioning, ignoring punctuation, and I've
has it
actually got a
worked?
couple of jobs out of it. Yes, I know. And I really didn't want to admit that on the show, but, it's just come out.
Exactly.
Well, it is worthwhile remembering that these are real scripts we've been working on, but we've changed names and some details to avoid copyright issues. Remember, you can find both the scripts we're using today in the show notes of this episode.
You can indeed. Now, Danny, what is your script all about?
Yes, what is it about?
This was a character I played on a video game.
Yeah.
I don't really want to give you too much information about it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I see on the page. I see a trader who's buying and selling stuff. And I suspect as the player of the game, I'm trying to get the best deal I can out of you.
It's quite descriptive. Sounds about right.
Yeah. Is that where you're going, Sam?
It is, and I'm putting it because of the garments that are being discussed. In my mind, I have it in I have it in an almost Dickensian world.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it doesn't have to be in a Dickensian world by any stretch of the imagination, but in my mind, that's what I've got. Presumably you had visuals for it, did you, Danny?
I had a side. I had one picture.
Yeah.
I had an idea of the character for this.
Do you want to tell us now or do you want to tell us after?
Do it after.
Okay.
Okay. Trying to get all the information we can out of you, Danny.
Do you want me to go first, Sam?
Yes, if you like.
All right, well, I'll give it a go. Why not?
I can see he likes this script.
Yeah.
Or he wouldn't offer to go
I
first.
never offer otherwise, do I?
No.
Right, okay. Is it important or not that we know what a barker is?
Well, do you know what? I have no idea what a barker is.
Okay.
I've tried Googling it, and it's like somebody who talks loud, and so I'm a little bit confused myself as to what a barker actually is.
Well, that's really interesting because I thought it was a type of coat.
I thought that as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. A garment. Yeah.
But now you've said that it could be a person. That is also interesting because there may be a group of barkers that it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't change the script, but all right. Let's give it a go. Oh, a fine morning, sir. And isn't it the most precious collar I've ever seen on a barker? I wondered what it would take for you to part with such a handsome coat. I mean, I know the value of such a garment. I have a keen eye and a heavy pocket. I deal in the finest accessories, sir. Why, just the other day, I sold the smartest hat to a lovely young lad. You wouldn't be in the market to sell, would you?
Nice.
Yeah, no, that was interesting. That wasn't a million miles away.
Oh, good guessing.
Wow, there you go.
That was pretty good. You haven't played this game, have you?
No, I haven't played the game. No, I'm not.
That's
Not
so
really a
interesting.
gamer. That's the thing. I should play and be into more video games. I realise
You
that.
should.
I really like that read, actually. From the way that I played it and the way that I was directed in it, I think there was some much more interesting parts in there from you, Mark.
Oh, interesting.
I did enjoy it. I could see you.
I was almost, I think, I was going down the Fagin route slightly.
Yeah. I think we're all. I'm tempted to go there as well. So yeah, so that'd be very interesting.
Almost cross between Fagin and Steptoe.
Yeah. Oh, that's so you.
Old Steptoe.
So you.
Harold. Okay. Go on then, Sam. Let's see what you do with it.
Okay. Oh, a fine morning, sir. Oh, isn't that the most precious collar I've ever seen on a barker? Now, I wondered, what would it take for you to part with such a handsome coat? Now, I know the value of such a garment. I have a keen eye and a heavy pocket, and I deal in the finest accessories, sir. Why, just the other day, I sold the smartest hat to a lovely young lad. You wouldn't be in the market to sell, would you?
That was really nice.
Nice. I see what you mean about the Dickensian feel.
Nice.
I got the Dickensian feel from that.
Yeah.
Almost Mrs. Fezziwick talking.
Exactly. I was
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
engrossed in Dickensian London. The
It
snow
kind of
was
made
falling.
sense, that, as well.
Again, Sam, you weren't a million miles off. It's actually set in Victorian London.
Good.
There you go.
Excellent.
So there you go. And the game was centred around Jack the Ripper.
Oh, my
interesting.
fave. Really, that's exciting.
Oh, Sam does
Wow.
lots of true crime stuff.
I do. I know quite a few Ripperologists, actually. I know a couple of people who've written-
Ripperologists?
Ripperologists. They write
my
write the books on Jack the Ripper. I know two.
Wow.
Very exciting. Wow, what a brilliant game.
Yeah. So what did you have to do for it, Dennis?
So, I mean, the descriptions that you've given, Mark, of that sort of Fagin character,
Yeah.
a little bit older, was pretty much the side that I had. So you were pretty spot on.
Which means it's on the page. I don't think I'd pluck that out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It must
No,
be.
I-
It's written that way then.
It must be. I mean, I when I went back to this script without it, I almost had that. Who are the guys in the Fast show? Suits You, Sir.
Yeah,
Paul Whitehouse
and that
and
would work
Sunday,
really
yeah.
nicely as well for this script, actually, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Oh yes, you could definitely play it like that.
So yeah, almost in a shop rather than I don't know whether this. I think this was probably on the street somewhere.
Mhm.
You know, an old guy
Yes.
trying to rustle up some clothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also thought this could work quite nicely in a shop environment.
Yeah, it really could actually.
Oh, I want to hear what you did with it, Danny.
I'm very
Okay.
interested because you said it older, so
Yeah.
there's obviously a bit
Yes.
of grit there somewhere. So I'm really interested in hearing that.
I'll try and recreate what I did. A fine morning, sir. And ain't that the most precious collar I've ever seen on a barker? I wondered, what would it take for you to part with such an handsome coat, sir? I know the value of such a garment. I have a keen eye and an heavy pocket, and I deal in only the finest accessories, sir. Why, just the other day I sold the smartest hat to a lovely young lad. Now, you wouldn't be in the market to sell, would you, sir?
I love
Ooh,
that.
I love
you
that.
really aged your voice beautifully.
You did.
I wasn't expecting that though, Sam.
No, I wasn't. That actually conjured up a whole character.
Yes.
Almost obsequious, pleading slightly, stooped. I don't know, what were you doing physically for that?
I was kind of a little bit hunched over.
Yeah.
And
You could hear it, yeah.
yeah, my hands were kind of twitching and fingers playing with each other, just trying to find the right phrasing to get this guy to sell me his coat.
Yeah, because you constricted your vocal cords, didn't it? You had to sort of, you could have really lean over to do that.
It's my old man.
Yeah, love it.
What I noticed, Sam, was that unlike my read, that was a much more real character, and which of course is the video game thing all over, isn't it? It's a much more authentic, real sound.
Well, and also a very distinctly different, probably from other things, character. You kind of can imagine you've got the old guy, selling his wares, as it were, and so so you could, I'm sure, Danny, do an entirely different character of a different age in the same game, and the player would be none the wiser.
I think I ended up doing about 5 different characters in this game.
Yeah, there you go.
Play, how do you say that? Well, Danny, now it's time for the wild card bit of the show. So time to approach these scripts in a very different way if we can.
Yes, indeed. So, Danny, can you pick one of the scripts and give one of us something new and different to do with it?
Okay.
Well, I quite like what we've been talking about with script 2, actually, and sort of the different characters. And
good.
I'd quite like, I think, Mark, if you would be so kind to do script 2 for me.
Yes.
But placing this character younger in a more upmarket shopping environment.
Shop.
Okay.
And the salesman is kind of trying to impress the boss.
Oh, the boss rather than the customer.
And is it a different era as well?
A different era, yeah.
Ooh.
And he's kind of on his last legs, and he's got to show the boss that he can make this sale, make this trade. Otherwise, he's out.
Okay.
Wow. So you've got to be quite genuine. Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. Let's have a look. A fine morning, sir. And isn't that the most precious collar I've ever seen on a barker? Very impressive. I wondered what it would take for you to part with such a handsome coat. I know the value of such a garment. I have a keen eye and a heavy pocket. I deal in the finest accessories, sir. Just the other day, I sold the smartest hat to a lovely young lad. You wouldn't be in the market to sell, would you?
Very nice.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were much younger. What era did you set it in?
I was thinking the kind of Mr. Selfridge style, probably before the war.
Okay. Or between the wars, or before.
Yeah,
the
or
first?
between the wars. Yeah.
Between the wars. Yes, because it still felt quite period.
Yes, I was going to make him more simpering than that, and then I thought, no, if he's trying to impress his boss, he wouldn't simper to the customer.
Simper.
Yeah.
Great word that is.
And certainly a much more upmarket store.
Yes, very much so,
Yeah.
which is kind of why I had the Selfridges thing in mind, maybe. Very definitely indoors this time as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
No, I did enjoy it. And I also thought, because I thought you were going to go down that sort of, really kind of pleading route, and you didn't actually eventually. You brought it back.
Yeah.
And felt quite natural you wouldn't be in the market to sell by the time you got there. So, but very different from your original.
Okay, so Sam, would you like to suggest one for Danny to do?
I can, absolutely. Now, I was going to get you to do a poem.
Ooh.
But I'm actually not going to get you to a poem because that's actually quite difficult to make the rhythm work. So I'm going to ask you to be a poet.
Oh.
Okay.
And I would like you to do the first one. So you are a poet.
Wow, okay.
For script 1.
Any type of poet you like?
Well, any type you like, and it could be really in any scenario. So sometimes poets want to impress their loves.
That was immediately where I went.
Ah, well, there you go. Or you could be a poet that is doing a recitation.
Okay.
But yeah, if you want to impress your love, then that's
Good luck, Danny. She doesn't make it easy, does she? She doesn't make it easy.
Sorry.
Nothing to worry about then. Okay. To modulate their brightness, LEDs are typically pushed on and off at regular intervals. This approach is called pulse width modulation, or PWM for short. When an LED is asked to operate at such a much lower brightness, it ends up being off more than it is on, effectively limiting the amount of brightness levels it can create, thus reducing the effect bit depth of the video being displayed. The result is noticeable banding and visual artifacts on the images being shown on screen. To alleviate these issues, we have introduced dark magic and all our Tessera LED processors.
Oh.
I thought that was exceptional. I genuinely
was it was a real sort of it was lovelorn.
You changed it around to fit the style of Poe. I thought that was brilliant.
That was fab.
Well done.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For something that was so tough.
I know, but you did it. You did it so well, and it really felt as though it was an overture to somebody who was perhaps leaving you.
Oh yes,
and I think
definitely.
you won them round at the end.
I was trying to win them back.
Yes, did you in your mind?
I'm not quite sure. I think the dark magic put them off.
Oh yes, it has a tendency to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to stick for dark magic for you, Sam.
All right then.
I would like you to be a female, very impressive sergeant major, putting her recruits through the mill. They're quite a way away, so you are having to project quite loudly to a kind of drill square for them.
Okay.
And you are bashing into them what the LEDs are about.
Okay, will do.
At ease. Now, to modulate their brightness, LEDs are typically pulsed on and off at regular intervals. This approach is called...
What is it called? Pulse width modulation, or PWM for short.
Now, when an LED is asked to operate at a much lower brightness, it ends up being what? Yes, more off than on, effectively limiting the amount of brightness levels it can create, thus reducing the effective bit depth of the video being displayed. The result? What is it, Parker? What is it? Noticeable banding and visual artifacts on the images being shown on screen. Press-ups, 10 of them, for answering me back. To alleviate these issues, we've introduced dark magic on all our Tessera LED processors.
I wouldn't want her as my sergeant major, Danny, would you?
Definitely not. I reckon you get the best out of your men, though.
Yeah, literally. They're not going to cross you, are they? Put it that way. And breathe, Sam, breathe.
I am. I'm breathing.
If you want to play along in the privacy of your own booth, as I've said before, we put the scripts in the show notes so you can have a try yourself.
Yes, you can. Now, Danny, tell us a little more about the Voiceover socials. What makes them so special? I mean, I've been to your Voiceover socials, actually. What makes them so special?
I think it's just the camaraderie and networking with people that you share an affinity with. I mean, most of us in the voiceover world know what it's like to just sit in a booth and talk to ourselves for hours alone, usually in the dark.
Occasionally talking to people down the line, but not all the time.
Sometimes that as well. So there is, but it can be quite a lonely job at times. Yeah. And so the socials that we do in London, we always go to the same place at between the bridges on the South Bank, and it's just
rain or shine,
rain or shine, sleet or snow, and you never know who's going to be there. There's usually some regulars, and there's usually always some new people who turn up who have never met anyone before, don't know anybody in the industry, or don't know much about voiceovers, and come along and just have a great time meeting new like-minded people.
See, that's what I like about it as well. I organised the VO Social Oxford, and you never know who's going to come, and new people come along, and there's some regulars. Debs Wardle is the person that organises it with me. I mean, we see it as an excuse to meet up and just have drinks, to be fair.
Oh, exactly.
Sometimes we talk about voiceovers, sometimes we absolutely don't.
Voiceovers that I've mentioned it to, that maybe haven't done them before, look a bit askance when I say, well, Voiceover Social, meeting other people. And they say, but the other voiceovers out there are not necessarily going to book you.
That's not about that, is it?
It's not about that. And I find that really interesting because I personally find the community of voices around me has been probably the thing that has sustained me most over the years.
Yeah.
Is being able to, I don't know. I mean, the voiceover socials are one thing, but your friendships with those people live on between those socials.
And they have great contacts. And I find sometimes if a client comes to me and I know someone, I will push them onto them very much so. So please don't think that it precludes work completely. Of course, we're talking about the VO Social because obviously we're out on Friday, but this weekend, Rob and Helen B have created the national great big voiceover social, which we're going to be at in Manchester. And it's just nice for everyone to just be able to get together, I think.
Yeah,
it is.
I'm really looking forward to it.
What's the best thing about the VO Social London then?
What I love about it is the people that I meet, and every single time I meet somebody new at every one, and I think just the camaraderie. It's building those networks, building those friendships with people, and I've met some wonderful friends through doing this that I wouldn't have had the pleasure of meeting otherwise.
They're lengthy affairs, the ones in London. So they start at about 2:00, depending on the time of year.
Much longer than the Oxford ones. We don't start till 7 normally.
And people come in and out, don't they?
They do. I think sort of we have sort of somewhere around sort of 20 to 25 people turn up. And they, as you said, everyone kind of drifts in and out. You get sort of some people coming and doing the school run and then going, and then others come back, and they've got people who are doing plays, so they come in for a quick drink and then go off to their play and perform. And if we're still there, they might come back again.
Yeah.
It does usually, they are quite lengthy.
We're talking about London and Oxford here, but there are VO Social groups all the way around the country, and they're all on Facebook. So if you type in VO Social on Facebook, your local one will probably come up.
I think Helen promotes them all, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
She does.
I think it's worthwhile pointing out that all of the local VO Social groups are all free to go along. You can go along, you can experience it, you can meet people. I think that's really important.
It is, yes.
I agree. Yeah, they're very, they're very approachable in that sense. You know, you can just, as you say, Danny, you can go along for one drink or stay for hours.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, we'd like to see more people join.
Well, Danny, all power to your elbow at the VO Social London. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you've enjoyed it.
It's been great. I was absolutely terrified to begin with. It was, really? And this is my first ever podcast.
Well, you were brilliant. I'm sure it won't be your last.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
A reminder that all Danny Watts' details can be found in the show notes.
As can the scripts, if you want to practice with Dickensian ideas.
Thanks again to voice actor Danny Watts, and we'll be back next week with more scripts and another voiceover guest when we'll be asking,
How do you say that? How do you say that?